CNN President Jeff Zucker spoke about how he viewed the big three cable networks. Of course, that's Fox News, MSNBC, and his network, CNN. And his comments here are just adorable.
You're now in a real race in many ways on cable television. CNN has huge reach digitally, but you also have this on television itself. You've got this kind of political map. MSNBC has branded itself, or for years branded itself, as kind of the liberal or left-leaning station, although they seem to be getting bit by bit out of that business.
Not in prime time, though. They still are very much in prime time.
Do you think they'll get out of that business?
Out of the liberal?
Yeah.
No.
How would you draw the map of the three obvious cables?
So there's three cable news networks, right? And obviously, you know, Fox News is so look, there's three cable news networks. You know, certainly in prime time and in the morning, Fox is state-run TV and is extolling the line out of the White House. MSNBC has become the opposition, and I think CNN is seeking the truth. And that's really the way we look at the map. State-run TV, the opposition, and we're looking for the truth.
Do you think the other two networks are not broadcasting the truth?
Well, I think that
and that CNN has a hold on the objective truth?
Look, I think that there are clear agendas at work at the other cable news networks, depending on their political points of view.
Wow. Buckle up. I got a lot to say about this. So let's start at the beginning. He says MSNBC is the liberal network. They're not the liberal network. They're the Democratic Party network. There is a massive difference. They're not a progressive network. They're not a liberal network. They're not a leftist network. They are Democratic Party propaganda, which is why, by the way, not that popular because, you know, young millennial leftists, they have other places they can go to get news and information and entertainment. And, of course, we, by the way, happen to beat CNN in the middle of the day in the key demographic range, and that's the one that's called the money demographic by advertisers, because that's the eyeballs they want, the people who have the most purchasing power and go out and spend their money the most. So we beat CNN oftentimes in the middle of the day in the key demo numbers. But they're doing this fluff piece like they've been doing recently. Establishment media sucking off establishment media. Wow, it's almost like nobody else will do it for them. So MSNBC, Democratic propaganda, that's totally different from being liberal or progressive. Liberal or progressive means you're principled and you believe in liberal values or progressive values. That's us! Democratic Party propaganda is propaganda. It's apologetics for the party. So when the party deviates from liberalism and progressivism, which they do all the time, MSNBC is there to defend them, not to hold them accountable. Okay, then we move on to Fox News. He calls it, state-run media, basically. No, they're the Republican propaganda network. They're not a conservative network. They're not a libertarian network. They're not principled in their belief in small government. They're not principled in their right-wing beliefs. They are Republican propaganda. So just always defend the Republicans, always attack the Democrats. That's their shtick. Now, what's so ironic about him calling Fox News state media? State media is exactly what CNN is and how they function. Now, why do I say that? Because it's understandable if you think, well, what do you mean, Kyle? I don't really understand how that works. CNN bends over backwards to do propaganda for both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. That's true state media. Fox News gives you the Republican perspective, MSNBC, the Democratic perspective. CNN, false neutrality all day long. False equivalence through and through. Let me tell you what the Republicans say. Isn't this so official? And here you could take it as if it's fact. Now let me tell you what the Democrats say. Oh, isn't this so official? And you could take it as if it's fact. So CNN is actually a bigger suck-up to the government and the establishment and people in power, because they just act as stenographers. Now, when he says, well, what do you mean? We're looking for the truth. No, wrong. What you're looking for is neutrality. Neutrality and objectivity are not The same thing. Neutrality means I'm going to call it 50-50 no matter what. Even if, the truth is on one side, 50-50. Let's call it 50-50. Hey, evolution versus intelligent design? Nah, 50-50. Let's debate it. Hey, climate change is a hoax? Let's debate it. 50-50. That's CNN. Everything's 50-50 because I don't want to offend anybody. Guess what? That's real state media. Because you are representing the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and they're both in Washington. So he's guilty of exactly what he's accusing Fox News of doing. Believe me, Fox News is a joke. I don't even need to get into that. Everybody knows, because all they do is Republican propaganda, and the Republicans are hilariously wrong. The party is hilariously wrong and really hurting the American people, yada, yada. Of course. MSNBC I don't like because they do apologetics for a weak corporate Democratic Party. But you're a stenographer to both, and you give false balance all the time, and you think you're some crusader for the truth. You're the furthest thing. This is a guy who hired Corey Lewandowski, Trump's campaign manager at one point, Jeffrey Lord, who talks about how, the KKK are liberals. He didn't say Democrats, because back in the day when they were founded, they were Democrats. But guess what? Political realignment. Google it, bitch. They were conservative Democrats. But he says they're leftists. The KKK is leftist. He hired that guy. Jeffrey Lord, Corey Lewandowski, Rick Santorum. This guy hired Rick Santorum, and he's going to talk about how he cares about the truth. We're just looking for the truth. That's all we're doing. You're not looking for the truth. You're seeking neutrality. You have a bias towards neutrality, always call it 50-50, and a pro-establishment bias that's so clear. And by the way, while we're at it, let me tell you the third bias, a sensationalism bias. That's why you got to throw in stories about Kanye West or some TMZ level garbage. And also, this is the reason why you hire people who aren't that bright. Because you know they're not going to rock the boat and really question society and the economy and the fundamental underpinnings of our society. That's why you have Don Lemon out there, dunderhead questioning, maybe the missing plane flew into a black hole. You have Wolf Blitzer, Wolf will read anything you put on the prompter. Remember when Wolf Blitzer asked Rand Paul? He's like, I don't understand. Why do you want the U.S. to stop arming Saudi Arabia and massacring kids in Yemen? Wouldn't that hurt the profits of our defense contractors? And he's going to brag. Yeah, CNN's looking for the truth. Jeff, you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, which is why a shitty show that does no advertising on YouTube, our advertising budget is $0.00. We beat you in the key demographics. How sad is that? I'm a loudmouth 29-year-old. You have billions of dollars behind you. How am I beating you in the key demographic? Because you suck at your job. And they always portray, look, the numbers at CNN went up X%. All these fluff pieces have said that. Guess what? Everybody's numbers went up. There was just a fucking historic election, you idiots. But they make it seem like they'll hold on to that audience. Right, yeah. The CNN's going to hold on to the audience. There was a giant influx because of the election. They're losing them as we speak. We, on the other hand, are not losing them. But you know what we have lost? Our funding. We've discussed this before, but there was the great demonetization of news and politics on YouTube. In fact, at one point, we were flat out blacklisted. We had 475,000 views on a given day and had over a 99% cut in our revenue. You want to know why? They can't control us. They can't control the direction of this. The corporations have no say over what direction I go because there's a giant firewall between me and them. I never speak to advertisers. We have YouTube and Google do that, and we just do our independent show, and we get paid based on how many more people watch us. Well, that system has imploded, and there's been a giant cut. First, we were making nothing. We basically totally blacklisted. Now, we've bounced back to a wonderful cut of 50%. So, and by the way, this is not just me. This is all your favorite people in news and politics on YouTube. We haven't been talking about it as much anymore because we've tired you guys out with how much, our fucking hair was on fire the first few weeks because we're like, what is happening to us? But we know what's happening to us. There's a war on new media. There's a war on independent media because we're way more influential than they thought. And what are they doing? It's a really clever trick when you think about it. They demonetize us, then they take the revenue and redirect it where? YouTube TV. YouTube TV is just TV. So that TV was getting all the ad money, then up comes YouTube and new media. We get the eyeball, so we start getting ad money. And without the corruption, because we have the firewall there, then what happens? They go, well, look, we can't beat them, so let's cheat. Let's kneecap them. Run the bullshit articles, cause a panic, and make the advertisers flee because one ad at one point maybe got through the 99.9% strong algorithm and ad got on hateful content. Defund all of news and politics, redirect that money right back to TV in the form of YouTube TV. They rigged the game, guys. They rigged the fucking game, which is why we, just like many of the other shows here now, rely on you. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, man. You guys saved the show. I mean, it really is that simple. You guys saved it. So, and I don't know if you truly realize how important it is that you said, you know what, man, look, it's worth a cent a video to me. That's what that's what it really comes down to. It's about a cent per video if you want to support the show. Just $2 a month. That's it. It's like buying me a cup of coffee every month. $2 a month, and that means the world. And just using our Amazon link. That's it. That's all it is. By the way, those links are down below. We need you now more than ever. Other progressive shows and any news and politics shows that you like on YouTube, new media, independent media, we need you more than ever. I love you guys, and I know I speak on behalf of them because we've had many conversations. They love you too, and it's because of you that we can keep doing what we're doing here. But it really is a sad state of affairs when you have such a joke like Jeff Zucker going out there and making comments like, yeah, we care about truth. MSNBC and Fox News, sure, yeah, they're silly. But us, CNN, oh, we're so serious. Anyway, is Don Lemon talking about black holes more? I'd love to hear that.